Hey designer, Alex here, welcome to the channel, and in this video we are going to create a news reading app. It's going to be a simple two-screen app, and I'm going to show you various different ways that you can use to entice users to click on different news. If you would like to see this design animated using Adobe Xd, let me know down in the comments below, and in some of the future videos maybe I will do the animation. And also let me know, do you like these sort of longer videos or shorter videos where I just show you one tip or technique? So grab yourself a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, because this is going to be a really long one, and enjoy the video. Alright, let's start by drawing our news wireframe, and we are going to create two screens for our mobile app for the news reading sections. Inside of our app we are going to have multiple sections where viewers can read the important news of the day. They can sort them by category, and they can jump inside different categories and read just the news from those particular categories. So let's start by simply outlining our mobile app screen, something like this for example. Just make it nice and clean like so. I'm going to go all the way down. Now here at the top I'm going to simply write in news, and it's going to act as our logo. This is going to be our menu icon right here at the top, and we're going to have the search icon right here on the right. Below that we're going to have a nice simple card like so for example. And inside of that card we are going to include a big tag right here at the top with breaking, because that's going to be our breaking news of the day. That's going to be the image in the background, and we're going to cut off the card right here at the bottom. Maybe it's going to have rounded edges, we're going to see that a bit later. And inside of the card we're going to have another section with a white background like so, and it's going to contain title, category, so let's say culture or cars, it's easier to write and faster. So this is going to be white right here, and this is going to contain the image here at the background. So if I zoom in just a little bit closer so you can see it a little bit better, and that's basically what we're going to include for this particular card. Now below that we're going to write in top news, and for the top news we're going to have these cards which users can scroll left and right. Card is going to basically be the same setup as this, but a different shape. So it's going to have the image in the background. It's going to contain white portion, so it's going to write in title. Cars, once again, for the category, but it doesn't have to be cars, it can be any other category. But as I said a little bit before, it's really fast to write because it just has 4 letters, so let's just stick with that. Title, and then category, once again. This is going to be the image, obviously. Below that we are going to have published today. Published today. And below that we're going to have a row of images, so perhaps this maybe times 4, let's say, just down below, so something like this. And it's going to have title. It's going to be have the category, so cars. And right here on the right we're going to include the date of the article which is published. So let's include March 19, let's say. And we're going to cover basically exactly the same setup here as well. Below that we're going to have top videos, like so. Then we are going to have video right here with the category here. So let's say culture. And it's going to be basically the tag. It's going to have the video right here as a player. Below that we're going to have, let's just quickly round this off, title. We're going to have the date, so March 19, let's say. And we're going to have these two icons. So this first one is for the share, and this next one is for the save. So if users want to save, let's say this to read later or to watch later, because this is a video in this case, they can do that by simply clicking right here. And finally, below all of this, let's use some pagination so they can scroll left and right, and we're going to have nice tab bar right here at the bottom. So we are going to have 5 different icons. So let's divide it, because it's going to be easier for me to draw. We're going to have home icon, and this is going to be the selected icon at the moment because we are at the home screen anyways. Then we're going to have settings. Perhaps they can jump inside settings and then perhaps filter by their interest. Maybe they want to see some different articles or stuff like that. Then we can see this save for later, so they can jump inside that, see the list that they have saved for later, and then they can simply scroll from that and use what they want to read. Finally, we have two more, so let's divide that. We have search, so perhaps previous searched articles in the past that they used. And finally we have the profile, where they can jump inside and edit their basic settings. Now from here we can go into a reading screen, so perhaps they can open up an article from here, jump inside, and we can have a back right here, news, logo right here, and then the menu icon right here. So they switched places from this screen to this screen, and perhaps you can explore some additional options if you don't want these two to switch places. But right here below it's going to be one big image, and it's going to be covered basically by this popping section. So perhaps let's say I tapped right here, it opened this screen and it showed me the image in the background, perhaps a little bit blurry. Then below that we're going to have title of the article, like so. We're going to have the tag right here, so let's say culture, and then we're going to have March 19 right here as a date, this article is published on that particular date. Below that we are going to obviously have the article itself, so I'm just going to write some few lines, and we're going to have new tab bar in this case with rounded edges, and perhaps maybe we can even add a drop shadow right here a little bit later. So we can have a like icon, like so. We can have a save for later, and we can have share, to share it on social media. And then whatever the user taps is going to open those settings, or that particular tap can lead them to a next place. So for example, if they tap share, a new window can open and they can choose if they want to share this to Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or whatever they want to share it with. So that's basically it for our wireframe. Let me know down in the comments below if you like this sort of videos, if you want me to keep make them, because I really want to make these videos as enjoyable as possible for you guys and give you as much value as possible. So if you want me to continue creating these wireframe videos, let me know down in the comments, and I will start including them into my every video, or at least to the videos where it makes sense to include them. Now let's jump inside Adobe Xd, and I'm going to show you how you can add some spice to this design, and how you can add colors, how you can add some basic integrations and so on, and then how you can also share it with your client. Alright, so here we are in Adobe Xd, and you can download this news app file. This is a practice file and you can use it for personal or commercial use. A link for download will be down in the description, so just click on it and download it. I will also leave the link to the font I was using, which is the OpenSense, and it's a free font that you can download and install on your machine to follow along with this tutorial and also your other work. As for the icons, they are called Pick on Stin. I used them in some of the previous tutorials, and they are premium icons. So here is how they look like, and you can see various different categories right here. And if you want to get them for your work, I'll leave the link down in the description as well. But for this tutorial, I just used some of them just to show you what you can do, and you can use them in your work as well. So here we have the assets, we have the colors, we have different character styles, and finally we have the components, basically the icons that we are going to use in our design. We also have our wireframe that we created in the previous video, and if you don't have a scanner like I did, you can simply snap a picture of your wireframe and simply import it to your machine, drag and drop it into Adobe Xd so you can simply follow along. Or if you don't want to do that, you can simply follow along from your phone. You can place it next to you and simply look at your wireframe. So to get started, I have two R ports right here. They are the iPhone R ports. If I click on them, you can see they are 375 with 812, and they are white background. And we're going to get started with the nav bar. So I'm going to find my search icon. Here it is right here. I'm going to find my menu icon. Here it is right here. And I'm going to simply type right here, news, Lee, something like that. I'm going to select this color. And here we have the Playfair display. I just used this for the logo, and Playfair display is also a free Google font, and I will leave the link to it as well. This is just a placeholder logo. Obviously you're going to use your client's logo, or you're going to imagine some other logo. Let me quickly select all of them. I'll place them like this. Let me place this left, place this right, Shift 1, 2 to position it 20 pixels right here. Shift 1, 2 here as well. I'm going to make sure that this is in the center. I will simply select all three, hit Ctrl G, and I will jump right here to my layers panel. Call it Nav Bar, or simply Nav, however you want. I also like to order these like so, from left to right. I will snap them to the top and hit Shift 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to position them 50 pixels from below. What I'm also going to do right now is hit Ctrl C, Ctrl V to position it right here. And right here, instead of a search, let's go back to here. I will use a back arrow icon. I will drag it and drop it straight to here, and it will replace it. You cannot see it at the moment because it's white, and we're going to fix that in the later part of this tutorial, because all of this is going to be white, and I'm going to show you why, because we are going to have a solid gradient right here in the back. But let's now focus on the home screen. And first thing we are going to do, if I jump back right here to our wireframe, you can see that we have the article right here. We have the image as a background. We have this breaking tag. We have title. We have the category, and we are going to have the date right here. So let's now jump right here to the home screen, and we're going to start with the basic image. So let me create a nice big rectangle like so, and the image is going to have the border radius of 10. It's going to be 335 with, let's say, 242, for example, something like this, nice and big. Let me position it 30 pixels from these icons, so like this. I'm going to remove the border, and I'm going to include a nice big image inside like so. What I'm also going to do is include a shadow, so let's use 520, for example. Press enter to confirm. And right here we are going to create a nice solid background. So we're going to use a white background, and let's call it text BG like so. Let's move these two down like this. And for the text BG, let's use something like 3. Let me quickly select it, because I selected everything by mistake. So once again, 315 with 87 like that. Make sure it's in the center, and make sure it's, for example, let's see, maybe 10 pixels works well. Let's also remove the border, and let's give it a corner radius of 10 like that. Now let's quickly add some text. I'm going to use the type tool. Let me type in economy, for example. Position it like this, and let's see, we're going to select some colors. So let's use this color, but first let's use this as our tag. Let's use this color. So we're going to move 10 and then 10 like this. It works well. Hit Ctrl D, position it like this, make sure it's right aligned. We're going to type in the date, so let's say March 19th. And we're going to use this color, position it like so, make sure it's at 10, then hit Ctrl D, position this to be at 10 as well, let's see, something like that. And then let's use this H2, and I'll jump in and copy from my other screen just to save a bit of time. hit shift, position it at 10, and it's at 10 like this. So if I hit my Alt key and hover, we can see that we have 10 on top and left side. And if I hover right here, we also have 10. We have 10 here, and here we have 10 and 10 as well. So that's basically our text. Let's quickly group it. So I'm going to hold my Shift key, reposition them just a little bit. So like this. I'm going to hit Ctrl G to group them, call this text. And one final thing we need is that category right here. So if I reposition right here, you can see it says breaking, because that's going to be a breaking news, and that's basically a top news which is going to show up at the top of our main article. So for that, let's quickly use a text tool, type in breaking, make sure it's left aligned. And let's see, we're going to make it like so. We're going to use this color for now. And for the tag itself, let's give it some dimensions. Let's use 90 with 35, for example, something like that. For the corner radius, let's use 10. We're going to remove the border. We're going to use this color, and let's quickly position it here. And let's give it a distance of, let's say, 10. We're going to call it tag like this. Breaking is going to go in the center of it like this, and just going to make sure that breaking is white like so. Let's call it tag, and that's basically our main image. So we have a tag, we have a text, and we have image 1. So I'm going to group all of them, hit Ctrl G, and we're going to call it top article like so. And now let's move on and start creating our other articles. So if I scroll right here, we can see that we have a top news. So let's start with that. Click right here, top news, like so. I'm going to simply click right here to apply this style. Make sure it's aligned like so, and make sure it's at 30 like this. And below that, we're going to basically have this exactly the same setup, but just with a few different dimensions. So let's quickly hit Ctrl D to duplicate this one. Let's call it article 1 like so. I'm going to position it somewhere around here, let's say, and perhaps we can have it be at 30 as well, like so. Now for its dimensions, let's see, I switched places, never mind. I'm going to do this. So let's see, I made the same mistake again. So this is going to be down, this is going to be up. So this top one is going to be top article, and this is going to be article 1. Okay, now it's fine. Now for its dimensions, let's quickly jump in. I'm going to jump inside the image. For the width of that image, we're going to use 180 with 242. And let me quickly jump in and add another image like that. You can double click inside of your image, hold Shift, and reorganize it however you want. So for example, something like this. Make sure that this happy guy is in the middle. We're going to remove the tag because we don't need it for this one. If I scroll right here, you can see that we don't have a tag. We only have this text field right here below. And for the text field itself, we're going to reduce its size just a little bit. So text BG is going to be 159, let's say, with the height of 116. So let me reorganize it just a little bit like so. I will ungroup this just to make this fit a little bit better. You can select these two, make sure it's in the center, make sure it's down, and then simply hit Shift and move it 10 pixels up. So for this one, I'm going to position this to be left aligned, make sure it's right here. So make sure it's positioned like so. Then make sure that this tag is above it, 10 pixels, and then make sure that this text is 10 pixels up. And if I hold Shift, you can see it's 10 pixels everywhere. If I hold my Alt key, You can see it's 10 pixels from here, this one is from here, and this one is from here as well. So nice even spacing between all of them. I will simply select a new text and paste it right here from my previous article. And now I can select all of them, hit Ctrl G and make sure to call this text. Like so. This is not going to be economy, it's going to be culture, because this is sort of a cultural event. We can hit Ctrl D and position this 20 pixels to the left, like so. And let me quickly select another text, because this is going to be another news article that we're going to put right here. And this is going to be article 2. And we're going to position it right here below. This is going to be in business, like so. And finally, what I need is an image, which I'm going to place right here. So simply drag and drop your images inside of your XD file. Now you cannot see these guys if I hide my text. They are right here and I want to use them. So you can double click right here, position them where you want them, hold your shift key and simply increase the size of your image. You can then reorganize it however you want. So like this, for example. Let's bring the text back. Do we like it? Yeah, maybe they should go a little bit higher on our image. So perhaps something like this, maybe. Yeah, this works well. This is just my example. You can also find a larger images, because if I zoom all the way in, you can see it starts getting a little bit pixelated, but I really like this image and I think it works well with this title. So if you want to use your own images, you can. And by the way, all images I'm using are from unsplash.com. I will also leave the link down in the description so you can check it out and download all of those images for yourself. Next up, I'm going to duplicate this, hit Ctrl D. Move this along, make sure it's at 30, like so. Position it all the way down, and we are going to call this published today, because we are now going to have a list of different articles which are fresh and new. You can also change these dates. So top news, this can be March 20, let's say, like so, just to give it some spice. And this can be March, let's leave it like this and not lose any time. But obviously you can play around with these different dates and add them however you want. Now below that, you can see we have in our wireframe published today, we have left image title, we have category, and then we have the date right here all the way to the left. Now let's start creating that. So we have published today. Below that we need an image, so I'm going to simply create a rounded rectangle. Let's give it a name, so we'll call it image, like that. I'm going to position it all the way right here. Let's give it dimensions of 100 with 100, for example, and let's give it a corner radius of 10. We're not going to bother with the shadow for this one. So what we can do right here is we can position it 30 pixels from here, like that, so we have the same spacing. Now we need some image. I'm going to pull one image I already pre-prepared. Once again, all of these images are from Unsplash. You can jump and select your images and download them. I'm going to remove the border because I don't need it for this one. And now let's start with our text. So we can call it, for example, article title right here, and hit Ctrl D to duplicate it. I'm going to position tag right here, so let's say productivity, like so. Hit Ctrl D and make sure that this is the date, so March 19th. Let's use the same date like we did right here, so hit Shift 1 2, make sure it's at 20, and let's give this 20 as well, so Shift 1 2, make sure it's 20 from the image, because the image is 20 from here, as you can see. I'll position this right here, and because it's going to be our title, I'm going to use this one because it's bold, and I'm going to once again simply copy and paste the text inside. Now let's position that text. I'm going to give it a distance of 10, for example. I'm going to select all three, hold my shift key and make sure that this text is in the center of my image. Next, I will use the tag color for this one. So productivity, for example, March 19 is going to stay the same. And I'm going to position them like so. Make sure I select all of them, place them below my image, and I'm going to call this article 3. So why not? We're going to just move. So article 1, 2, 3 is going to be easier for you, clients and developers, to understand each other, what goes below each other. So I'm going to hit Control D to duplicate this one. I'll position it maybe 20 from here. Let's call this article 4. And we need 2 more. So hit Control D one more time. This is going to be article 5. Finally, Control D, article 6. And let's give it a name, article 6. You can also use a repeat grid feature if you would like to do that, but because I'm going to change so much, I'm going to change the titles, I'm going to change categories, perhaps even the dates, but because this is published today, maybe the dates can stay the same, or if it's published, for example, in midnight, then maybe it's a day after or a day before or something like that. But that's my point. I'm not going to use repeat grid because I'm going to change so much. And it's also a great feature of repeat grid if you have your content ready in advance. So you can simply copy and paste your content inside. It's going to populate all of these different fields. So this next one is going to be architecture. So I'm going to paste it in. This one is going to be automotive, like so. And finally, this last one is going to be travel, like that. Now for this one, I'm going to use this title. So I'm not going to obviously bother you with creating different titles. So you can do that yourself. You can imagine your own titles, or you can simply pause the video if you want to see what kind of text I'm using right here. But I just want to save as much time as possible during these videos to not make them boring for you guys. So let's do right this. I'm going to include different images. So for this image, we're going to include a picture of a building. Maybe we can position it right around here. I think it works well. For this next one, because we are talking about autonomous cars, this is the picture from the Tesla Model 3, obviously. Maybe position it something like this. That works well. And finally, we have the travel image of a girl on a swing. Maybe position it somewhere like so, make it nice and big. And that's basically it. We have finished this section. You can see how easy it is, especially when you have one and you have finished the design in mind, like we had right here. That's why in the wireframing section I use ×4, because I'm going to have 4 different sections and 4 different articles right here. Now you can add see more right here, and people can click see more, and then they can be taken to that particular part of your app. Perhaps top news has its own page, published today has its own page, and so on. But I imagine this app to be a smaller app, so not exactly, for example, CNN or BBC or of the scale of those, but a bit smaller app, for example, a local news agency or something like that. But if you want, you can also add a button right here which says load more, and then users can scroll and scroll and scroll and read through all of these different articles. Now below that we have top videos, as you can see right here. So I'm going to hit Control D, duplicate this one, make sure it's at 30, and type in top videos, like so. And finally we have a video right here, as you can see. I'm going to simply hit Control D on this one, position it 30, like so, move it all the way down, as well as top videos, like so. This is going to be called video, like that, because why bother with creating all of these different sections when we have exactly the same section that we can use over and over again. Below that we're going to have pagination, so let's create that real quickly. So we're going to have, let's say, 5 different circles. So we're going to call this circle 1. I'm going to position it all the way down. Now for the dimensions, let's use something like 10 by 10. That works well. And here I can use repeat grid. So I can simply select this one, hit repeat grid, and I can create 5 of them. So 2, 4, 5. I can zoom in a little bit closer, like so. And then I can position them right here in the center. ungroup grid, and now I have my circles. So as you can see, repeat grid can be extremely helpful in some situations, but in some situations I really like to use just these basic Adobe Xd features because I found them to be quicker and easier sometimes than using these different shortcuts. But it's just me. You can experiment obviously and use whatever you find works best for you. Now for this circle, we're going to use this main color. We're going to remove the border because it's going to be a selected video. In this case, I'm going to group them and call them pagination. Like so. Now let's deal with our video. I'm going to simply type in culture right here. Like that, or perhaps maybe even business. I think works best, like so. Now for the text, I'm going to simply select my text like that. And here we need two icons, because if I scroll all the way to here, you can see that we have these two icons. And because we have this tag, I'm going to simply move my date, make sure it's left aligned, delete my tag, because as you can see, we have it right here. We don't need two of them. So I'm going to simply move it right here. Next up, we're going to need a play icon, so you can drag and drop it from here. Make sure that it's in the center. I'll position it somewhere outside. Select my image, position it right here. And the image itself, let's change it really quickly. I'll drag and drop it inside. We have this guy with a car. You can hold your Shift, Alt and left click to increase the size of your image proportionally. Make sure it's somewhere around here. You can click outside and make sure that you position it correctly. I think this works well. Now for the icon itself, I will select both of them, and then I will simply select my rectangle, go from here to here, then select my rectangle, my play icon, and click right here to position it in the center. So it's going to be in the center like so, so left and right, and top to bottom between this tag and this text right here. I'm going to delete it because I don't need it anymore. And now finally, the only thing which is left for us to do is to add our icon. So I'll jump right here. So we have a share icon. We're going to drag and drop it right here. And we also have a save icon. We're going to drag and drop it right here. Now let's quickly organize them a little bit better. I'm going to select both of them, make sure they are like this, position them here and then here. Make sure that they are 10 from the bottom, like so. Make sure they are 20 from here, and then make sure that these two are 20 from each other. So, like so, sorry. I'll move the entire symbol, 1, 2, and that's basically it. That's how easy it is to create them, but I will have to reduce their size just a little bit. So perhaps, turn off the responsive resize, because you can see what it does. Perhaps something like this. I think it works well. Click this color, and that's basically our icons done. So people can then share or save for later if they want to. I'll once again move this icon right here, so make sure it's at 20. Make sure this is in 20 as well, and they are 11 for some reason. I'll move them 1 pixel down, and now they are at 10. That's basically it. That's our video done, and only thing that's left for us to do is create our tab bar below. And to create that tab bar, let's quickly create a background. So I'm going to use my rectangle. I'm going to click right here, use my rectangle, move it right below, call this tab bar BG, like so. And for the dimensions, let's give it something like 335 with 73, like so. Make sure it's nice and wide. Make sure it's in the center right here. Make sure it's 10 right here, so position it 10 to the top. And let's see, we need a color for it, so we can use a nice color which is not white. So as you can see, a really light gray color, just so that we can see it. Position it right here and make sure it's nice and rounded. So for example, 50 pixels works well. Now we need to include some icons inside. So what I need is a home icon. So I can find it right here. we need settings icon, we need save icon, and finally we need a profile icon right here. I'll move them all down like so. Sorry, first I have to select them, then move them all down, call all of this tab bar like so. Then I will select all of them, make sure all of them are in the center, and as I keep repeating, I really like to organize my icons like so. Make sure this is a save like so. So let's now organize them a little bit better, but before we do, I'll change the color of the home because we are at home, obviously. Now I'll move it all the way to my edge, so shift 1, 2, 3 for example, and do the same for this one, shift 1, 2, 3, and I can reorganize these just a little bit, perhaps like this. Then you can select them and click right here, and it will redistribute them evenly and accordingly throughout your empty space. And that's basically our tab bar done. So this is how it looks like. And if I hover right here, we can see that we have 47 from here, but we don't want to have 47. We want to have 30. So same like we did with all the previous ones. So maybe we can increase that. Let's see, I can position it right here. So shift 1, 2, 3, and then 10. And then I can zoom all the way in and simply crop it in like so. And that's basically it for our screen. I can move it 10. And let's see, now we have 30, we have 10, we have 20 on each side. And that's basically it. It looks really nice. And we have finished our home screen. Now for the article open screen, what we need is an article that we want to open, obviously right here. So you can choose whichever ones of these you want, but I chose this one, for example, because it's just in the middle of all of these different articles. So what you can do is you can copy and paste this one in, but I don't want to do that. I want to show you how you can create the entire layout. So let's quickly start with an image. I'm going to use my rectangle tool. I'm going to simply draw a nice big rectangle like so. Make sure that this goes right here to the edge, same right here. Now for the dimensions, let's use something like 375 with 263. Like so. I'm going to remove my border, and obviously we need to include that same image because if people clicked on it, it's going to appear right here. I'm going to double click inside and I'm going to increase the size to somewhere around here, for example, and I'm going to position it just below our nav bar. Now, as you can see, we have a problem because we cannot see any of these. Now I'm going to change this to white, and I'm also going to select my menu icon and make sure it's white. And what we also need is the gradient right here. So to create a gradient, you can include it in the background of your nav bar if you want to. I'm going to simply copy and paste mine in just so you can see what it looks like. So this is basically a rectangle tool. So this 375 with 94 positioned just below all of these three, and instead of solid color, it's filled with gradient. So if you see, it's linear gradient, it just has two colors. Darker color is at the top, and you can click right here to organize it however you want. Lighter color is at the bottom, and if I click on my darker color, which is once again this one at the top, you can see it's a dark, sort of dark gray, 464646. And if I click right here, it's sort of almost white, so DF, DF, DF at 0%. So it goes from darker one to lighter one, and you can use these gradients to have this effect. As you can see, you can include any image that you want, and you cannot see cutoff line right here, but if you hover with your mouse over it, you can see that it's right there. Now, next thing we need to do is create a background. So I'm going to use my shape, create a shape like so, for example. Make sure that this is at 375. Now for the dimensions, we need to use something like 569, like so. And we need to change a few things because I want this and this corner to be rounded a little bit. So these first two can be at 20, for example, and you can see that now we have these two rounded. If I zoom in, you can see how that looks like. So you can basically imagine that this expands this white background, and it's going to present us with the text inside. This is going to be called white background, for example, or text background, however you want. Let's call it that. And we're going to position it right here above our image. So image is going to go all the way down, just so that it can hide everything in between. Now we can create a bottom bar. That's simple. Hit Control C right here, Control V right here, position it down, and then Shift 10 to the top. And what we need right here are 3 icons instead of 4. So what you can do is you can jump in right here, because we need a like, we need save, and we need share. So I'm going to delete my home. I can jump inside, delete it. So I'm going to position this as a like so. And I'm going to position this as a share like so. And because we used these components, it's going to be extremely easy for us to replace them overall. Now for the bottom bar dimensions, let's call it that. Let's see, it's this one. And I'm going to call it bottom bar, and this is going to be bottom bar BG. Now for its dimensions, we're going to give it 280 like so, and then simply make sure that all of these are in the center like so. I'm going to ungroup them and then simply position this to the center like so. Now that it's done, only thing which is left for us to do is simply add a text. So I'm going to simply call this title like so, then make sure it's H1. I'm going to click right here and paste my text in, make sure it's left aligned like so, and make sure it's at 20, so same like we did with all of them. Control D to position this right here. I'm going to use this one, but blue. This is going to be culture like that. Hit Control D. This is going to be right aligned. Make sure it's at 20 like this, and we are going to give it a date, so March 19th, and we're going to give it this color. As you can see, when you have all of this stuff ready, so colors, character styles, components, and everything, is going to be extremely easy for you to position all of these different elements in. Now let's organize them a little bit better. So I'm going to position this at 30, so 1, 2, 3. This is going to be at 10, for example, so 10 like this. And finally, only thing which is left for us to do is to create a text, so article right here. And for the article, let's use this style. So I can hit Control D on this one, position it right here, make sure it's left aligned like so. Make sure it's at 20, for example. And instead of point text, let's create a text area. And I'm going to expand it from here all the way down to here, for example. And now I'm going to simply copy and paste my text in. Click somewhere outside because you cannot see it. Let's use this color. And that's basically it for our text. If you want a nice plugin to generate this random text, you can install this lorem ipsum. You can simply click right here and then simply use this search function for lorem ipsum. Press enter or return. Here it is. Click install, and basically when you click on the text here, you have this fill with placeholder text option, and then you can fill it however you want with whichever information that you want. If you want to extend this a little bit down to maybe reach somewhere around here, maybe you can even copy this and paste it. If you want to reduce the size, simply click right here and go wherever you want. But that's basically it for our app. I really hope that you like this style of app. It's really nice, clean, easy to understand. You can also add a quick black background, for example. If you want to add a dark mode, maybe you want to add a switch, for example, of some sort, and then maybe you can, for example, do this. You can see that it's still readable, but instead of this darker color, maybe you can use white. So let me quickly select all of them like so. Maybe we can use white, and you can see it's a lot easier to read now than before. You can play around with different colors, and then you can show those options to your clients as well. Also, these tab bars look a lot nicer when they are placed against the black background or darker background, so you can even play around with those options as well. I really encourage you to download this file, to test it out, to try it out. Include your own images, include your own text and see what works, what doesn't, maybe play around with different settings. And I really encourage you to play around with this file, play around with your wireframes. As you can see, it can be extremely fun little process, and then include it inside of your Adobe Xd file, because it's going to be a lot easier for you to remember what you drawn on a piece of paper when it is right here than when it is inside of your phone. Maybe you have an email, maybe you need to go outside and you are going to forget that and lose valuable time, when you can include it right here in Adobe Xd and have everything beside you. Thank you for watching the video. I really hope you got some value out of it. If you did, make sure to press that like button. I upload new videos every single week on design, passive income techniques, motivation and more. So if you don't want to miss that, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.